You know that feeling when you get to the end of a day and you genuinely cannot tell where the time went. Not because you were busy, not because something important music happened, just gone like the day had a hole in it and everything poured out while you weren't looking. And you sit there at night, phone in hand, vaguely tired, vaguely restless, vaguely aware that something was supposed to happen today, music that didn't. Some version of you was supposed to show up that never came. And instead of sitting with that feeling, music, instead of asking why, you scroll a little more. You push the question down. You tell yourself, tomorrow will be different. And then tomorrow comes music, and it isn't that cycle, that specific, quiet, modern kind of suffering is what we're talking about today, because there is one habit sitting at the center of it. One thing you are doing, music, probably every single day that is making sure the life you actually want stays just slightly music out of reach. And the uncomfortable truth is that it doesn't feel like a bad habit. That's exactly why it's so dangerous. Here's what nobody tells you about self-destruction. Music. It rarely looks dramatic. It rarely looks like rock bottom or a breaking point or some moment you can point music to and say, there, that's where it went wrong. Real self-destruction, the kind music that steals years from people, is quiet. It's incremental. It's a series of moments where you chose the slightly easier thing, the slightly more comfortable music option, the path that asked a little less from you. And one by one, those moments don't mean much, but stack enough of them together. And one day, you look up and realize the life you're living is music, not the one you designed. It's the one that happened to you while you were busy avoiding discomfort. The Stoics had a word music for this kind of slow erosion. They called it atrophia, the wasting away of something not from attack, but from neglect, from disuse, from the simple failure to exercise what you were given. A muscle you never use doesn't dramatically collapse. It just quietly, gradually becomes less than it music was until one day you reach for something and it isn't there anymore. That is what music, this habit, does to a life. The habit is the surrender to frictionless living. Let me explain what that actually means because music sounds abstract, and I want it to land concretely. Every single system in your life right now, music, your phone, your apps, your entertainment, your food delivery, music, your content, every single one of them has been engineered by some of the smartest people on the planet, music, to remove friction, to make the next thing as effortless as possible, to ensure that you never have to sit still long enough to feel uncomfortable. And on the surface, that sounds like progress. Convenience is good. Efficiency is good. Nobody wants to make things harder for no reason. But here is the music thing they don't advertise. Here is the part that doesn't make it into the product launch. Friction is not just an inconvenience. Friction music is also the mechanism through which human beings build themselves. Every hard conversation you have makes you more capable of honesty. Every morning you wake up and do the thing you didn't want to do. Music makes you more capable of discipline. Every time you sit with boredom instead of reaching for stimulation, music, you are training something in yourself that cannot be trained any other way. And when you remove all the friction, when you outsource every discomfort, avoid every music difficult moment, fill every silence, you don't just become more comfortable, you become less capable, less music present, less yourself. There is an old Stoic idea, not from the names you've heard 1,000 times, but from the school itself, from the tradition as a whole, that the quality of a life is not measured by how much pleasure it contains, but by how much of it was consciously chosen. Meaning this, a life where you're always just responding, always just music, reacting, always just taking the path of least resistance. That is not really your life. That is a life that is happening to you. You are a passenger, music in it, not a driver. And somewhere in you, you music already know this. That restlessness you feel at the end of the empty music days, that's not anxiety without a cause. That is the part of you that knows you are built for more than this. quietly knocking on the door. Think about the music last time you did something genuinely difficult, something that asked real things from you, real patience, real effort, real courage. Maybe it was a hard conversation you'd been avoiding for months. Maybe it was finishing something you'd started music and abandoned 3 times. Maybe it was just waking up early for a week straight and keeping a music promise. To yourself, remember how that felt, not during, because during is often uncomfortable and unglamorous and nothing like the motivational videos, but after. That specific, quiet satisfaction that doesn't need to be posted or validated or explained to anyone. Music. The kind that just sits in your chest and says, I did that. That was real. That feeling is not a reward. It is information. It is your nervous system telling you that you just used yourself correctly, that you lived even music, briefly, in alignment with the person you're trying to become. Frictionless living cuts you off from that feeling permanently, and once you stop feeling it, you stop chasing it. Music. And once you stop chasing it, the days start blurring together, and before long, the years do too. So here is what killing this music habit actually looks like. Not in theory, but in practice. It starts with one decision made every morning before the world gets its hands on music, you. Before the notifications, before the scroll, before the noise, you choose one thing that matters. One thing that is genuinely hard. Music. One thing that the easier version of you would quietly skip today. It doesn't music have to be monumental. It rarely is. It might be an hour of real undistracted work. It might be the gym when you don't feel like it. It might be sitting down to finish the thing you keep starting and abandoning. It might be having the conversation you've been delaying for 3 weeks. Small, unglamorous, music real. And then you protect that choice. You treat it like it's the most important appointment of your day, music, because it is. Not because of what it produces in that single morning, but because of what music teaches you about yourself over time. Every time you honor that choice, you are casting a vote for a different version of yourself, a version that is not controlled by music comfort, a version that can be trusted, a version that when 2027 arrives, and it will arrive faster than you think, is standing somewhere real, somewhere chosen, music somewhere that actually looks like the life you said you wanted. The world is about to music get more comfortable, more frictionless, more optimized for keeping you passive and entertained, and just satisfied enough to never demand more from yourself. That is the environment you are walking into. The only question that matters, music, is whether you walk into it with a trained mind, one that knows the music difference between rest and avoidance, between ease and surrender, between a life that's happening to you, music, and one you are actively, deliberately, sometimes painfully building. Kill the habit before it kills the years. The work is uncomfortable. That's the whole point. That's also the whole reward.